don't remember your nickname?
Well, it was like
What's your nickname,
it
Willie?
was very haphazarded.
Haphazarded. All right.
Haphazarded.
Let's do a 3, 2,
Two,
1.
one.
We're live.
Here we are.
So what was your nickname? Slowest start ever.
It had something to do with let's see here.
What was this
Doves.
for? Over at
on-site TV. Yeah.
when we were doing video?
Yeah.
The
Well,
crew
the
gave
deal
you a
was
nickname.
what it was is it was like
We're starting right into this.
yeah, and now all of a sudden I'm brain farting on it. But it was Charles gave me the nickname, and Charles Orem.
Yeah. Charles, good guy.
So he gave me the nickname, and it was cool, and it was like he was like this should be a rapper name.
Oh, DJ.
And that's-
Willie. Yeah, hang on.
It was in Los Angeles though. I'm pretty sure it was LA though.
No, because it was in Reno. We had this nickname. Fuck, what was it? It's gone. It'll come back to me
It'll
later
come
in the
back.
show.
It'll
Yeah.
come back to me too.
All right. Well,
So
welcome.
stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned.
My nickname.
We got. Oh shit. Okay. No, so it's there, but it's on. Once again, we're broadcasting on the Condry page. We'll figure out.
the
maybe I'll share-
Condry 2 Condry
Condry
page?
2 Condry page. Yeah.
Whoa.
I'll share it later.
On the Facebook.
On the Facebook. Yeah. So we got that. I forgot to spread this around to people,
Me too.
but yeah, we'll get there.
Them Condry boys are
Yeah.
a bit forgetful
Yeah, it happens. You know.
when they get to a drinking.
Mm-hmm. Shit.
So how's your week been, Joe?
It's been crazy. So there was one thing, and it's funny. This was an idea I almost brought up. I did, as we were talking about different ideas for what to do for the show. And it was funny because you also texted me the same thing. We got, and I'll bet you a shitload of other people in the state got a text message from,
Especially in the Sacramento area.
in the Sacramento area,
and the Bay Area.
and probably
Especially in the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, because that dude was a Bay Area guy, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Mayor of
anyways,
San Francisco.
Yeah, Bay Area, San Francisco. So we got a text from I don't know. Mine was Jane,
and mine was Nina.
right?
From
Assistants or volunteers
They were
or some shit.
volunteers.
Yeah, for what was even that guy's name?
Gavin Newsom, the current lieutenant governor of California.
Guess who's not getting my vote?
Well, it doesn't matter because he's pretty solid, solid in the sense that he's gonna probably win.
Right.
I mean, he's lieutenant governor for one, so he's like being groomed for the position, you could say.
Rob,
Like-
cut your mic.
You like my jazz fingers?
Right, yeah.
And fucking Rob. But,
There it is. Yeah, it's just the echo I can hear.
He's got like the full Democratic establishment behind him. He took on the NRA, so that automatically has the entire like Bay Area
Oh,
behind
that
him.
makes sense, yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't matter if you like him or not. Like, this is me calling it right now. He's probably going to be the next governor.
You said we should set a bet.
You know what? Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Let's keep it as low stakes as possible.
Well, it'd be like $5-10. I don't know. You got to buy me beer.
Let's lower stakes
Okay.
than that. No, I'm just kidding.
because you're working Sunday mornings, huh?
Oh, what? Take you out to brunch or something?
Yes. I was gonna say you're buying me.
Dude, I'm not even taking my mom out to brunch.
I was gonna try and get mom out to. Oh yeah, Mother's Day's this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we? We're not gonna discuss what we're doing. I was gonna ask people.
We need
Yeah,
to
we'll
discuss
figure it out.
that eventually.
I was gonna
or we
ask
can
this
just like drop the
open-minded.
whole Gavin Newsom thing.
Yeah. Well, no, because this is one of those where it would be maybe good to have an open mind or an open show.
Mm-hmm.
But what is everybody doing for Mother's Day kind of
Yeah.
thing? I don't know.
But with the whole Gavin, I mean, I just thought it was funny. We both got the same, like canned speech in the text message. It was like, "Hi," mine was, "Hi, I'm Nina. I'm supporting Gavin Newsom because he made universal health care a reality in San Francisco." I think he was like mayor or something of San Francisco, and then, this is the interesting part. When he was mayor in San Francisco, his wife. I think they were having a long distance thing, and then all of a sudden they got a divorce, and then shortly afterwards she started dating Anthony Scaramucci.
Wait, you got all this in a text message?
No, I'm saying this is just like another funny thing that happened while he was mayor in San Francisco. In addition to the whole universal health care. Sorry, that was a little tangent. I just thought it was funny that
During your explaining the text message,
I just wanted to throw
yours.
Anthony Scaramucci into the mix. But anyways,
Who's
yeah.
that?
So she's like, you remember that one short guy who called? He said that oh crap, I can't even remember the other guy in the White House's name. You remember the old guy who Breitbart, the Breitbart old guy who got like kicked out a while ago.
Yeah, sounds about right.
He was like the former editor. This is going nowhere.
Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting heavy.
Sorry, this is like we're going down a
going
rabbit
down
hole.
the politics rabbit hole
We're
here.
going down another rabbit hole of things that I'm not like catching off the top of my head. I can't remember the names, but
Details, Willie, details.
Anyways, universal healthcare. He made universal healthcare a reality in San Francisco. I don't know much about that. I assume it's some like statute to make sure everybody had access to like whatever like Medi-Cal type thing. So
Right.
that's cool though. I think that's generally cool though.
That's a good idea.
That's cool. And then also the other one was spearheaded marriage equality, which is like cool, you know, like. I mean, I don't want to underscore that or anything.
Nowadays, even the Pope is going with that, so I think we're good there.
Yeah, no, it's like
we could just settle that.
Like in 2011, that would have been a lot more like game changing. That would have been like that's not terribly progressive. That's cool that he was that when it was like a progressive thing, he was still ahead of it. I think that's what they're trying to say with that.
Okay.
Is that like even when it wasn't popular, he was like. Yeah, but I mean, you're mayor of San Francisco.
Yeah, but
it's like,
point being, though, is
that's a very safe place to be pro-marriage equality.
Yeah, it's probably better off if you're going to be, you're
be
probably not
dangerous-
going to be mayor
you'd be
there.
Perhaps
if you're
dangerous to not be
Yeah.
marriage equality.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Not that the gay community is dangerous and they're like thugs or anything like that. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's like
Well, it could be.
It's very safe. It's very safe to be pro-marriage equality.
You're assuming
though,
that
in
just
the Bay Area.
because people are gay, they're not going to attack you? It's just the same.
That's true.
That you can have gay thugs and straight thugs.
Anyone can
It's
attack
all the same,
anyone.
man. You can have thugs of every type.
I've been attacked by like
Thugs
all
love.
sorts of things. It's you really you can count on anyone being capable of attacking you.
But the point being is that we
Yeah.
both got the same goddamn text message. Same
Oh,
day,
and then
right?
the last one. Then the last one was they took on the NRA.
Right. So we got the same
Yeah.
text message. And ultimately what I got from this whole thing, because it's funny, every election season you always get one, and I make a point when somebody pulls my phone number out of a library somewhere, I don't know, maybe they had to buy it from Facebook or something, whatever it is. When they do that, I make a point not to vote for that person.
Oh, okay.
And especially if I have a friend on a text thread and I was showing that, and then they also send the same exact text message, and I realize, oh shit, they've just mass texted everybody in the Sacramento area.
Everybody does that.
Yeah. Well, not everybody. I haven't gotten anybody else trying to be governor of California texting me.
They just haven't gotten to you yet.
Well,
We're pretty early in the season.
as I go down, I'll just
So you're
keep
gonna
lists.
you're
So
gonna
Gavin's
vote,
off my list.
You're gonna vote for people based on their inability to like pamphlet you
yes.
through text.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, because they've bothered me during my workday. I thought it was an important text. I opened the phone. I was like, shit.
Yeah, but the alternative is calling. Would you have preferred they called you?
Oh, that's a definite no. Yeah.
Damn, dude.
No, they call me. Nope. We're done.
You're a hard crowd to please.
Yeah. No, you gotta get me on a Facebook advertisement like everybody else.
So you're
Just keep it subtle.
So you're incentivizing more Facebook advertisements.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
That's stupid.
Well, that doesn't bother me. It's like it's a free service anyways.
I mean, it's gonna happen anyways.
it's just it's less invasive.
Yeah.
It's like if people email it. You don't know, emails bother me too. I don't know. Just don't bother me, and maybe I'll vote
Yeah.
for you. It's my rule.
I think they just want you to think about Gavin Newsom.
Well, now I'm thinking negatively about his name.
Yeah, but
I will not vote for Gavin Newsom.
What was your girl's name?
Jane.
Jane just wanted you at night to like just think of Gavin Newsom in whatever context. Like it could be a hateful but she just wants you to think about Gavin
Oh right,
Newsom.
like the old Shakespeare quote. You know that one?
There's a lot of them.
It says, well, but the one he goes, love me or hate me.
Uh-huh.
Hate me, I'm on your mind all the time. Love me, I'm in your heart all the time. Either way, I win.
That's a Shakespeare quote?
Well, I'm paraphrasing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not the exact quote.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard I didn't know that was Shakespeare though, but
the original quote is Shakespeare. I don't know what the fuck it was, but
it's true though. It's like you don't want to like you have them.
yeah, you find one extreme or the other, and now
they're living in your head without rent too.
They're in, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's how advertising works. Marketing, actually, that's the true key to marketing. All right.
But you tried to get Jane on the show.
Yes, I did.
And how did that go?
I never heard back from her.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what does that say?
It. I think it's more of an it.
Yeah. Well,
it's like those bots. It's simply.
Oh no, she was probably a real person.
I don't think so.
Dude, there's a lot of there's like a lot of young people out there who want to make a difference, and so they like volunteer for these campaigns.
Yeah, but even if it was like it's a random name, they probably pull off a generator every time they send one of those texts. It's a copy paste, insert random name,
yeah,
and go. It's probably like to all the guys they'll send a female name, I'll bet, and I'll bet you all the girls get a guy name.
Joe, she responded to you.
She did. But I don't know if it was she or he or what responded to me.
Like, I don't know if you're a robot, Jane.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
show yourself.
well, they've got the what's that? not Wolfgang.
I just want to see you yelling at your phone, and be like, "Show yourself, Jane.
Who are you?
You're a robot."
Well, whoever Jane
You're
was,
not real.
they had an android, so
Okay.
automatically they weren't cool.
Jane does sound like an android name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, total
Jane.
android name. Yeah.
It's like Jane Doe. You know that would.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's
this
completely
dude, anonymous.
Well, anonymous.
Yeah,
What it
could
is?
be
That's
anyone.
a bullshit name. Is what
Yeah.
it is.
Jane, we're calling you out. You didn't come on our show, so now you're not real.
I gave her the link.
Nina,
to the,
what about
the
Nina?
web stream.
You know, Nina, that I'm holy crap, there's some like deep like rabbit hole we can go down with that. Like,
How?
Nina, like, is the name of the girl who texted me.
Okay.
All right. So maybe
Allegedly.
so maybe Gavin Newsom is against the Irish. Because
How,
Nina
what?
because the Nina laws. Nina, no Irish need apply. They were there weren't laws, it was just like this old thing. Yeah, it's how they would block out like Irish people from getting jobs. I'm just saying, Joe, like if Nina's a fake person, why would they pick that name? Why would they give this robot
You're
Nina?
stretching a little far here, bud. This is
Okay.
some shit. Like, you know how those.
I'm
That's
just saying.
this is how conspiracy.
I'm just throwing the light on this. I'm just saying.
This
I'm
is how
just,
conspiracy
I'm just
theories start,
raising
though.
some questions. I'm not making accusations.
Okay.
I'm
Okay,
just
good. All right.
asking some
All right.
questions.
Keep it.
Nah, but
But if you look hard enough for any sort of it's human nature. Like if you stare at a wall long enough, you'll see, or like the texture behind you on the wall. There's faces in there,
yeah,
but it's not faces. It's just random blobs that we assign facial construction to. Because humans do that. They look for
Yeah.
patterns where there aren't patterns.
Yeah.
You know. So Nina, I
that's
don't.
how like optical illusions work, right?
Yeah.
When you're seeing something that's not really there, it's your brain. It's like kind of completing a pattern.
Yeah, yeah,
When it's in your, I think especially when it's in your peripheral. I want
Well,
to
yeah,
say
'cause
you're
we have
more
the
likely
blind
to-
spots.
Yeah, we have our blind spots and stuff, but.
Mhm.
I wasn't actually serious about that whole Gavin
I know,
Newsom
but I just gotta-
anti-Irish
I
sentiment.
gotta check you sometimes.
I don't. Those two dots do not have a line between them. All right, those are two dots that are just like they're not
Probably
connected
not.
in any
Maybe
way.
they do, but
But
probably not.
What I thought was interesting was she asked, have you thought about who you're gonna vote for in the gubernatorial election
Yeah.
in the primary? And
Yeah.
I think you.
So
said,
here's
I don't
what
know
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
'cause
what'd you do?
I sent back. I was like, nope, haven't. Can you tell me about everybody else? Because I heard about her person.
And
I
then
was like,
she's just like, oh boy.
yeah,
can
well, no,
I?
because that's. I was like, well, that sounds neat. To like a couple of things, I was like, some of the stuff that your guy says, I agree with, and I was like, that's neat. Period. Can you tell me about my other options? And I sent that because it's like my break at work. I ain't got nothing to do, and I was hoping that this would like start a conversation because I don't know
Yeah.
what my options even are. And then she sent me a link that I didn't follow.
That's
and-
kind of crappy. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. She was like, not. That almost kind of does lead credence to the whole it's a robot thing because that's what a robot would probably do. I mean,
Yeah.
it sucks that she couldn't because you were actually curious. Most people probably just text back either they
just don't
don't text
respond.
back, or
Yeah.
if they do text back, they're like, stop. They
Well,
just
this is
like
the
in all
first time-
caps, just like stop like they're a robot.
What
or,
happened to me too?
"Don't
It's
text
because
me."
I've seen a few people on my Facebook that recently had posted like, "Hey, you should do your research on the primaries." I'm like, you know what? I generally just steer clear of all this shit, but you know what? Maybe I
And
should.
you ask me sometimes.
Yeah. Well, usually what I do is I just talk to you.
Yeah.
But
Make me your political advisor.
well, and that's kind of it. It's because you give me a clear sight one way or another because we don't agree on everything.
Uh-huh.
And so I can be like, hey,
Yeah, we're
here's
close
my
enough.
thoughts.
We're
Yeah.
probably actually closer together now than we were like back in 2016. I was like way more off in left land back then. I was like chasing the dragon. I'm a little bit more grounded
a
now.
little grounded. Yeah. Well,
Hey guys, do you want to try something?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I could read some amusing governor candidate statements.
I
All
like
right,
this.
yeah, let's hear it.
do this.
Oh, man, we should pop this up on the TV.
I, for one,
Yeah,
welcome
let's-
our
let's-
Robert,
yeah, let's hear
Rob
this.
overload.
All right. We'll do a quick little experimental diversion here.
While we're
so
at it.
most of these are about 8 lines long. They're just little paragraphs, but some of them
I'm gonna pour a drink.
are like this. From Christopher N. Carlson, a member of the Green Party,
Okay.
Uh-oh.
quote, "Teach your children calculus and keep the planet safe.
Yeah.
Or feathered stones and empty bowls will also be their fate." And the last part's in italics.
He sounds a little fruity.
Wow.
That's
We
like
have,
that's like the Arby's guy. You guys ever seen
Wait.
the Arby's guy?
No, wait. The Arby's guy.
Oh shit. We'll have to, I'll put a link to it in the description of the
Please
video.
Bookmark
do.
that one.
Yeah.
There's Peter Y. Liu, whose statement is hashtag CESP5.
CESP5?
What's that mean?
CESP5. I don't know what that means. And,
Okay. Hashtag. I write off any candidate who has hashtags in their candidate statement. I'm just like, no.
They're pandering
and then
to the
there's
social medias.
Akinyemi Agbidi.
Wait,
Oh my god, man.
I think I know this guy.
Mission statement:
Yeah.
California strong.
Yes.
You know this guy?
I feel he sounds familiar. I feel like I remember. I think he ran for senator or something. They're perennial candidates. So do you know what a perennial is?
No, what's
It's a polite term for those guys who keep on running even though they're not going to win.
Oh, like that. Who's the guy who wears a boot on his head?
Oh, fucking Vermin Supreme. I
Vermin
love how I
Supreme,
can't
yeah.
there are people who are shaping national policy. I can't remember their name, but I can Vermin Supreme is just off the top of my head. Just oh, you mean Vermin Supreme?
Vermin Supreme. He's like a celebrity at this point. Like in
someone who
Sacramento,
really
we've got
matters.
Spider-Man or Superman, Black Superman
Black Superman, is he a perennial?
or Black Spider-Man. No, he's not a perennial. He's a crackhead.
Well, but
But he dances with a sign on the corner of Watt and El Camino.
Oh, good.
You can hire him.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or was that Marconi?
Probably has a lot of energy.
Dude, 12 hours nonstop. Doesn't even drink water.
Yeah,
On
but
a
what a-
110-degree day.
Wow.
The guy's a machine.
Drugs.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yes.
All right, here's my favorite statement from Johnny Wattenberg with no party preference. Why not?
That's it?
That's all. Wait,
That is all.
is
That
that a
is
question
all.
or a Pokemon?
Why not?
It ends with an exclamation point.
Why not? Wow. So question mark exclamation point, or just
No, just an exclamation point.
No, he's telling you. Why not?
Why not?
Think about this shit. Trust me. It's a big deal.
no.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
you can email him.
do you have any other bombshell candidate statements?
I got an idea. We should pull one of the.
Or you want to do an idea, Joe?
Yeah, we should pull a card.
Okay.
Rob's gonna keep shuffling, but
Okay.
see
All
what
right, I
you
got
here.
one more. This is for a lieutenant governor.
One more. Pull the
And,
card, but yeah, let's see.
Candidate is
I don't-
Cameron Garabiklu in the Democratic Party, who does something that I was told not to do in third grade, which is start a sentence with the word because.
Oh, okay.
When the history is written, it'll say California rose up, resisted, and led this country forward. See how at California, CameronForCalifornia.com. That's the whole thing. So instead of actually writing a statement, it's just check out my website.
Oh, so it's an advertisement. It's a fucking crummy commercial.
well,
Sucks.
Yeah,
It's
no,
a
lot.
commercial.
So perennials kind of do it to build your brand. They kind of do it as advertisement for other things.
Didn't we do this one before? Or did we talk about that off air? We did that one.
Yeah, we did that with our cousin.
All right, yeah. Yeah, fucking nix that card.
Oh, did
What you
we? I think this one we've been meaning to talk about. Did we talk about this one?
I don't remember. Hey, Rob, we're going to run this by you. Did we already...
I'm pretty sure we haven't done
So
it.
which
go
of
ahead
your
and just-
skills have you found most valuable in your adult life?
Yeah.
I mean, we may have brushed on that, but I don't think we said it as an actual
I don't remember talking
subject
about
yet.
that because I feel like I haven't actually thought about that, even though I'm the one who wrote that question.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me.
Oh shit. Well.
Oh, especially
okay.
now, because things have changed in your life over the last
Yeah.
couple years.
You know what? Yeah. Okay. I will say that the hands down the most valuable skill.
Beaten off with the left hand.
You don't develop that because that's the mystery and allure of it. You don't want to take that away. You don't want to take away the wow factor of that. But what I was going to say was my drumming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, because it's really it's the thing that I'm the best at.
All right. Well, okay. So and this is almost really applicable because there's a friend I was talking to just today, and she was explaining about how she's kind of worried because she doesn't see a way to turn any of her passions into careers.
You be careful about that in
Right.
the first place.
Right. Which is, I mean, it's not like it's the most unique problem in the world. A lot of
Yeah.
people experience this, but that's where you've got drumming that you've turned into something where you've got gigs on Friday nights, Sunday mornings, all time.
Yeah.
You know, bands on the side.
I've got my one reoccurring gig at a local church,
Right.
which has been incredibly valuable on multiple levels, spiritual, financial.
Spiritual?
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah.
Okay.
It's like I love drumming for Jesus. It's seriously cool. Like that's how
I'm sorry, it just sounds funny.
That's
but
how
yeah.
I vibe. I
Right.
mean, like,
Yeah.
because we grew up, we did our first episode on the Catholic Church, and those services were boring as heck, and I prefer to attend a church service behind the drum set and to be the heartbeat of the congregational worship
that's like
process. Because
drums originally in war and all that. That's like the beating. That
I'm directing them.
got people going.
And I'm face to face with them. It's one thing, it's like it's really nice to look at the congregation head on. It's a lot more intimate, I guess you could say, rather than looking at their backs, or just like being among them. But that job, I got that job because they had a drummer at the time, but he was going to be gone for a week, and so they needed someone to just substitute. And so my roommate, Gabe, who plays piano,
We're supposed to get that guy on the show, right? Or was it
Gabe, Ben,
No,
both
the
of
other
them
guy.
would be,
Ben,
both of them would be good for the show. But Gabe is a really good piano player, and he played piano in this band, this church band that I'm now a part of.
Yeah.
And he recommended me to them, which I'm very grateful for, because they just brought me in there, and I didn't look at any of the music beforehand, and it's good because there's no studio tracks to really replicate what they do on the stage. They just played it, and I meshed in.
Clicked. Yeah,
I
worked
listened,
right away. Yeah.
And let's see here, that was 4 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, it was 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago was when I did that. And so I'd been playing drums for 9 or so years at that point, but I was only able to mesh that well because I'd been playing for a long time. So that's the reason why that is my most valuable skill, was because that is the only skill that I had honed to a point where almost it's kind of like that professional, you can just walk in and you're going to get the job done because it's your world. It's the world that you live in. It's second nature to you.
That's the thing. You're just running with that skill. Yeah. It's muscle memory and all that. Yeah.
And I'm not. Here's the thing: is when people ask me if they're like, "Oh, are you good at drums?" Because for some reason people ask that question in the first place.
Right.
It's an awkward question.
That's where you do that or the Eddie Murphy's. It's like, all right.
That's what I do when people are like, "Oh, you're that good drummer," right? And I'm just like, ugh, I just start spazzing.
Well, because you don't want to
start
telling people I'm amazing, but at the same time you're like, well, I'm not bad.
Yeah, you don't want to shit on yourself. Be like, no, I suck.
Yeah, but you're trying to be humble.
What I tell people is I get the job done. I mean, because I'm not a technically impressive drummer, but I've always been playing with other musicians, and what it's resulted in is I have an ear that allows me to just kind of get on the scene. I can read charts pretty much.
Right.
I have visual aids I'm not to the level of a professional, but it's mainly I can just listen to a song and jump on and kind of figure it out. And that's useful because in the professional world, the less amount of practices and rehearsals that you require, the better, because oftentimes it's just
because they need people just jump in and
rehearsals
be a part
are
of what's
luxury.
going on.
Yeah, most of the time you need to be able to just plug and play.
But what was that movie with is a Marky Mark movie where it's called The Rockstar, I think.
Oh man,
where he comes
I don't
in.
think I've seen that.
You never seen that? It's a classic. But there's a band and they pull some fan up, and I guess they're already getting into tussles with the main singer because he's kind of a douche, and Mark Wahlberg is one of the guys in the audience, or he's he's acting as somebody else. I can't remember what. He comes up and he kills it, right?
He's Marky Mark.
Because he's Marky Mark.
Yeah.
He sings the song
Marky Mark
and it's like the Scorpions or something like that.
Here I am.
Yeah, and he's just it's a hair band.
And he wins the crowd over.
And he wins the crowd over. The whole band's like, holy shit. Yeah. They just pretty much at the end of the show, they're like, yeah, you're out, and they bring in this kid who was just a pull up out of the audience because he knew all the songs. Point is that they didn't have to rehearse with him. And he was good. He was ready to go.
Chemistry was
he was
there.
on tune. The chemistry lined up. He wasn't a douche. That was a big one. So if you're not a douche, they don't need to rehearse with you a lot. It's a win-win, right?
And that's how I got hooked up with this other band that I'm playing with recently. They're called Brotherly Mud. I'm kind of their substitute drummer, but it's great because I don't put that much work into it because it was at some open mic night at World Pub in Auburn.
Yeah.
I was just trying to jump onto people's sets with my little cajon drum, and I was like, hey, you want me to just jump on your set and then just I promise I won't screw it up. And most people will be like, I don't know, that's kind of weird to just like throw in a drummer last minute to the set that I've been preparing myself, and I'm hoping that I don't bomb.
Right.
And it's gonna be harder to
And
like
yet,
get my
you wanna
shit
just
together
jump in, yeah.
when I have another person in the mix. So it's rare to even have people say yes, but these guys said yes,
Yeah.
and I jumped on, and they knew how to telegraph well. That's what I usually pick up best on the cuts and the stops and transitions when
Right.
people
Because you're looking for
telegraph.
eye contact
Yeah.
and physical cues and all
Experienced
that. Yeah.
musicians know how to subtly like throw
Yeah,
it
'cause
across.
they'll kind of look, or you'll see cues
Yeah,
that allow
without
you.
them being like, "Yo, you're gonna stop right here." All right,
Yeah.
and there you go. All right,
Right.
cool, and we're gonna
Well,
start
that's
again.
like me and Tim. It's not nearly we weren't professionals by any means, but myself and Tim Newman, we played many a guitar, and he sang at many a party when we're drinking.
Mm-hmm. The videos
And-
can be found on your YouTube page.
Yes, they can. Well, at least one or two of them. Point is that between me and him, we had great chemistry. Is that I could play and I'd like build the song up, and then I knew when we were both on the same level without even saying anything. It'd be subtle cues, and I'd know when to stop, and he'd stop or he'd break down, or I'd build it up, and I'd start just the way we worked together. It was awesome. We'd make some great, really bad music.
No, but you were feeling it. You were feeling the music.
But yeah, and that's the point, is that you have that
It's
flow.
just so cool that anyone can do that, though. Because I mean,
Mhm.
it's like you didn't spend like 5 years of straight playing instruments or anything like that. But yeah, and neither did Tim. But you guys could still have that moment, because that's pretty much what I'm doing with other people.
Yeah, just to a higher.
It
Because
just
you're more
sounds
exactly
more
what you're doing.
refined, I
Yeah,
guess,
well,
but, like-
because you've put in the work where everything you sounds is much cleaner. Everything that you do, versus what I do. I know a
It's not
handful of
silly.
chords. Yeah, well, all the shit that we do is really silly. It's I know a few chords on a guitar and how to strum it. That's about it. I'm not good
You
by
only
any
need
means.
C major and E minor. That's all you need.
Right? Yeah,
That's a song-
you only
that's a
need
song.
about 4 chords to play most pop music, anyways. So,
But yeah, that's drumming is my skill.
yeah.
But really listening. If I were to be precise, I would say like particularly listening, and listening and just adapting. Like,
having that ear.
I'm kind of chameleon-like. I'm not trying to make myself sound special or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool that I have that ability to just kind of mesh in, because honestly, it's kind of helping me out financially. I mean, it's got me work.
Having a few extra bucks here and there.
Yeah, but I mean, I have areas that I need to improve upon, and I would love to do so, but that would probably require like making it more of a central thing in my life, which is not exactly where I'm going. I'm going in more of a videography direction, and/or like maybe even still education. Haven't figured that one out quite.
That's the beauty, is by having
Yeah.
all these options open, and that's something I try to explain to a lot of people, because I remember at 18, I had video, I had photography, I was starting to do music, starting to do a few other things. But I've always done like fabrication, metal construction, kind of building, fixing things, that kind of thing.
Including a car.
Right? Yeah, did lots of work
We were
on the
looking
car.
at pictures of that car.
Oh, the old black bullshit car.
Yeah. E-Shiznit or D-Shiznit.
Oh, that one. Oh, wow, that was
Yeah.
that was the go-kart we made when I was in like 7th grade or some shit. Yeah, that was fun. Yes, but that was a learning process. So, but what I would consider is that at no point, don't ever discount things.
No, everything's
And,
part of the
everything.
story.
It's this big build,
Yeah.
because there are things that I even did a crossover the other day. There was work that I did for when I worked for the sign company, where we do LED displays. It's very computer based. There's programming involved that's specific
Is that
to
D3 you're talking
yeah
about?
D3.
Yeah. They're on the drums.
And so I did work for them, and there's particular programming involved. I was recently working on a plane, and there was a system involved in it where we had to do there's a display system that it does, it
The
uses,
control panels.
it takes data from a certain machine and it displays it on another. And I was able to go in and use knowledge from one to the other. The point is that it's like the old saying where you go to a park and there's an artist and you ask them to draw you a picture. And they're like, okay, so they draw you the picture. And then you're like, oh, well, that only took you 5 minutes. He goes, no, that took me 10 years to draw that picture.
Yeah.
It's all this culmination of skills that come together, and you never know how they're all going to play at a certain point in your life. It's interesting how that all works out,
Yeah, I mean, we can always play that game where we can be like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, everything that I've learned is useful, but I could have learned more, There's like
You
opportunity.
could play the what if game all
Yeah.
day long.
What I would simply say, if you want to like take advantage of where we're at in this present moment, is just simply say, an experience is really only worthless if we don't have the wisdom to really see the value of it. For example, like if there's a period in your life or like something that you did where you're just like, oh, that was a waste of time.
Right.
It's really only a waste of time if you haven't just even thought about it enough to really understand why you did it in the first place.
Because there's a lesson in everything, right?
There's a lesson in everything. You know what? Maybe there was something that held you back in life, but as long as you understand how it was a bad idea,
right. How was it bad?
What you could have done better, what you did pull from it, you know, then that it's always worth doing.
Well, and it's kind of an interesting one because on a different way to describe it, like I've got a group of friends and they're really into, you know, because you have multiple different groups of friends that are into different things, and like one group is really into the cosplay stuff, right? And it's awesome, like that's their thing. And I realized as I started hanging out, because I went to a few different, like, I haven't gone to
What, just like
like a
kickbacks?
Comic-Con yet. Well, yeah, it's kickbacks, but then I went to a comic book store event thing.
Oh, cool.
With
yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
And I realized how personally not into it I was, but it didn't change. It's not
because you're just like you didn't mesh with the
it's,
culture.
Yeah, because I don't mesh. It doesn't mean it's a bad. And that's where I realized that
It's
there's
just not your culture.
Yeah, and that's what
It's kind of like how I feel at a rodeo.
Right. Yeah, and that's totally
I'm
cool.
just like, whoa, this is a little bit not my environment.
What you do is you respect that this is a thing, and it's an entire subculture, and it's amazing, and there are applicable skills. Like, because what would happen is I'd spend time around these people, right? And there's like 5 of them are all talking, and I'm there, and we're having a great time having a beer, and then if the subject shifts off general topics that I understand, suddenly it gets really technical into whatever that comic is, or whatever the superhero, or whatever it is. They start describing like timelines and details and this and that.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm just like, it's over my head.
Yeah.
And then I realized, and to me, it's useless knowledge. But in that particular area, if you don't have that knowledge, suddenly you're out. And that's where I was. Because I didn't have the knowledge, I'm out. The same way that if you go into, like, talk to people in aviation, you don't have that knowledge, you're out of the circle. And you don't, it's not applicable. So if you want a career in comics, you should know your shit.
Yeah,
you know? And it's
there are so many fictional series that I'm keeping like excellent track of the sequence of events. And
right.
Even in like you got like multi-dimension timelines that you have to like make sense of, like in the Zelda games and Rick and Morty. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not usable. It's probably not even like training some. I don't even think.
Here's what it is though. Here's what it is that our timeline, that where we are in history and time and space at this point. We have to keep up with so much knowledge, like the amount of random knowledge that you have in your head at any given time. You think back to the 1920s, like there just wasn't that many things to know at any given time.
I disagree.
Well, there were, but it was a lot more. Like you didn't understand. Like there weren't TV shows to keep track of fictional facts on.
There's so many things that we don't know that they knew so much about. They knew like layer upon layer upon layer upon layer about that we don't know now. The typical person.
I'd say yes, they knew more about specific things, but I think if you were to,
they would be useless to know about now. I would argue that most of the things, that's the one thing, that's the one criteria that footnote they know layer upon layer upon layer about all these sorts of things that we don't even know about, and there's a reason for that.
Of course, well, that's like the old. You remember? I think I brought it up a while back. It's the hunting versus typing.
Oh yeah, the
argument.
So if you live in a time when like hunting was still a thing, can you imagine like having to hunt in order to eat?
Yeah. You better know how to hunt.
Like there would be so many little things that you would know. You would know like they're like common eating patterns of like the animals that you're hunting. You'd know all these micro details.
And all that. Yeah.
And it's just like it's
But now, we dismiss a lot of that because you don't need to know how a deer moves through the forest, to be honest, in order to eat a deer or a cow. I don't even have to know how to feed a cow, and I can go get a burger. You know, there's point is it's different times, different knowledge. But I think, and I don't have any scientific backing for this, but I believe that if you were to compare, like, if you could, you know how theoretically you can take all the information in a brain? Mm-hmm. If you were to take all the information in a brain from, like, the 1920s, it'd be like 1 terabyte, and here we'd have, like, 1.5 terabytes, or maybe 2, just because there's more stuff, you know, more intricacies. But it's not that
possibly.
That's what I believe. Just because we're evolving.
I think that's possible because I believe that when people are more literate, they're taking in more information.
Right. And
That's one
retaining
thing.
it. Yeah, you're retaining more information.
So for one thing, I mean, I spent a shitload of time on Reddit, and therefore the internet. And what that has resulted in, whether I like it or not, is I just have seen and read a lot of text information, and most of it has just like gone even straight through like the short-term memory into like oblivion.
It's in there, but some of it sticks.
What I find is that weird things do stick.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where I'm like, wait a minute, maybe everything is being saved, but it's in this weird, like, if you do like the association, if you go down the association rabbit hole, you'll somehow like pick it up, and you can't even be in control of what you remember.
Right.
But all I know is that I'll just pick up these weird little facts every once in a while, and then I'll look them up, and a good amount of times they're actually like on it.
Well, it's retaining.
I'm retaining weird information.
So this is one thing actually that I recall, and going forward in my life someday, applying to like skills that I learned. I remember when I was like 5. No, I had to be 6 years old at least because we moved into the apartment at 6. But I had this point where like the nightly ritual where I don't know. I guess I was going to school at this time because I was 6. But we'd go and do that, and Dad would always watch TV, right? And he'd be laying on the bed, and I'd go like lay down next to my dad, our dad, and watch whatever the fuck was on TV. But I'd just ask him questions, right?
Yeah.
And by no means is he like a scientist or anything, but he has a broad enough grasp of certain things like physics that he would explain it and say, I'm not sure if I'm 100% correct, and he'd tell everything that he could, even if it was way over my head. Yeah. And he'd say a lot of times, I remember one thing he'd say is that I'm going to tell you it all. You don't have to remember it, but at least it's in there.
Yeah.
And then someday you'll hear it again and it'll trigger a memory. And it's kind of funny because he'd tell me like about atoms and electrons and shit like that when I was like 6 or 7.
Give you all that elementary knowledge.
Yeah, just like it,
knowledge.
and he said it in a real simple way, which was nice. He's like,
explained
okay,
it to you like you're 6.
Yeah, you did exactly. He's like a block of wood. There's really small little particles that make it up, kind of like your Legos. And he'd say these are the Legos of life. They're these little atoms and electrons and all that.
The building blocks.
The building blocks of life. And I didn't quite understand, but it stuck. And then later on, high school, middle school, all that, as you start learning these things, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's in there. And so that's one of the things is the way that we remember things. There's no way to describe how our brains really truly stick with this knowledge, but you can't go wrong by having it in there.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting because it's like they'll think that just because they can't pick it up off the top of their head, they like know nothing about it. But there's a lot of things that they've like kind of like osmosed it or osmosis.
Yeah, it's an osmosis. You
absorbed it. Yeah, that's the better, easier to say word for me. But it's cool because like, especially if they have like almost like a natural affinity towards it, that will combine with that information they picked up prior, and then all of a sudden they'll just kind of like soar at something.
Right.
But Joe, let me ask you this. All right, I don't want to like get away from this. What is your most valuable skill?
Fuck, dude, my most valuable skill?
Yeah. So like, and it can be broad. It can be very specific. You can like start broad. You can go specific to like a skill. But yeah,
just said that like, oh, you're gonna have to pick one.
Well, no. I mean, not in a bad way. No, but it's tough because it's like, how do you pick one thing? I guess
imagine some skills work in harmony with others.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I realize, at least about my life, is that it's this combination. Like everything that I do, I've found some way to blend things. Mm-hmm. But I guess one of the bigger skills from what was it, childhood or some shit? I don't know. The way it works out is that I think it's not even so much a skill, but it's this way of thinking.
Okay,
right?
That could be.
Yeah, what it is I think, and this is what I try to instill along with people that I spend time with, is that, and everybody can do it, is that whatever you want to achieve, you can generally achieve.
You can do.
There is a way to pull it off, yeah.
You pretty much feel like it's like necessary to almost even just assume that you can do anything.
Yeah, well, in a basic sense, I'd say that. Yeah, you can
it's
do
harmful,
anything.
It's almost harmful to like start like nitpicking on what you can't do. Because it's easier to just think I can do this and then try it. And then
what happens, and it's almost like a lifestyle that I think is it's kind of an interesting way to live.
No, it's definitely a mindset.
Is that you say, I'm going to do something outrageous, and you just pick this idea, and you go balls to the wall for it. And if it doesn't work, then you find another way, because there's always another way.
And you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, well, and that's the big one. You either learn from your mistakes, which is hopefully you do, and then B, let's say you don't achieve it, something will happen while you're on that other path.
Yeah, other doors will open up.
Other doors will open up, and you go, oh, shit, that's a good idea, too. And then you just chase that. It's kind of an ADD sense of living, but nonetheless, you chase that, and then who knows what will happen is maybe further on down the road, the door will open that you wanted originally. But now you've got 3 doors to choose from.
And you went for it.
You went for it. That's
always worth noting.
Yeah, and that's the one that gives you self-confidence or peace of mind.
The pimply nerd who like asks out that like 10 out of 10 hottie, like you got to respect the fact that he went for it. He can get rejected. He can get like Instagrammed and be like, look at this loser who tried to ask me out. It doesn't matter. He went for it.
But on that note, let's say so you got that as your example. Pimply nerd goes and it asks the girl out, right?
Yeah.
It fails, but somebody records it, puts it on Instagram. Dude goes viral.
Yeah.
Guess what?
The bold motherfucker.
Now he's the bold motherfucker, and he's getting hit up nonstop by other
that goes a bitch, man.
Yeah, and and people are talking shit about her. But more importantly, it's that he is now got new doors open because people are like, look at this guy. He tried. He gave it his all. And then now there's maybe other girls that are like, he's awesome, and they start messaging him and shit. Like this is how life works. It's unexpected. You never know where it's gonna happen.
I feel like did this just shut off or something?
Yeah, that shut off. I restarted.
Oh, okay. I
haven't set the screensaver on that.
Are we good on time?
We got 10 minutes of ammo left.
All right, cool.
But yeah, no. So that's the idea. Is that
so that mindset that like anything is possible and that boldness to go for it because you go for it. I don't have. Here's the thing. You're absolutely right. That mindset does work because it really does achieve those things. But in my case, the reason why I don't do that is literally just because, to get a little real here, I've kind of got like a fear of failure.
Dude, that's not uncommon though.
No, it's not. That's why it's not that bold to say it. I mean, a lot of people who probably are watching have the same thing in their life, but no, it's like some people are better at just like closing their eyes and kind of going for it and sticking with it, and you are a lot better at it than I am, and that's just the thing.
It's an appearance though.
I have one thing of weight to add to this conversation.
Go for it, Rob.
And that is just like every other fear that you can imagine, fear of failure can be inoculated. You just have to fail enough, and you will not fear it anymore.
So let's real quick.
So I haven't failed enough?
Well, no, you haven't failed hard enough, and you haven't dealt with some serious.
Fuck, that sucks.
This is
because I'm already failing really hard now.
But think about like
it has to get worse.
This is one thing that I found the most interesting. It was last week, 2 weeks ago. I went to that open mic night to watch Lance.
Lance
perform.
Our good comedian friend.
And watched a few other people perform at the same time. And what I found, because I'd heard this and I'd never been to an open mic night before. It is interesting because you watch somebody, and I cannot give credit to those people enough. For 5 minutes,
it is cool.
These people go up, and they have the biggest balls in the world because you're going to stand there with a microphone in front of not that many people.
Yeah.
Who are hoping they're sitting there waiting for you to fuck up. They want you to entertain. They're like, make me laugh. And you know how hard it is to work a 5-person crowd that's not even drunk or anything like that. I can't tell you how hard it is, but.
Especially if you're doing comedy.
Yeah, it's comedy.
And
you're not. You have no name behind you. You don't even have qualified
you're
jokes.
Just a dude who has the microphone.
You're just a random dude who walks up, and you got to entertain these people. So basically,
with your words,
what you see is these people go up and they just kind of suck for 5 minutes straight, and then they keep going. Even though they're sucking, they just keep going because there is no other way to get good at that other than just sucking.
Yeah, it's like
and it's not once or twice. You got to do this.
Moments.
Yeah, you got to do this for months. You got to just go up and suck.
So that's what Lance. I don't. Remember.
It's impressive.
Yeah, I think he talked about it a little bit. It's like that's why the open mics are so valuable. Is a lot of it is going to be you just bombing, but that's what's valuable. Is you're kind of like you take note of what does land, and you're like, oh, okay, that worked.
The one,
and then you kind of like test variables. You're like, well, was it the words that I was saying? Or was it my attitude, my delivery, like all that, you know? And it's you got to be comfortable with bombing. It's to be honest, whenever I jump on somebody's set, you know, and I'm just like playing cajon, playing drums, I have no fear of failure because I'm just that confident in my ability. It's one of the it's one of the very few things in life that I can do where I'm just like,
because you're already rolling
I
with
don't
that
care.
confidence. Yeah.
Whatever happens, whatever, like Godzilla can crash through the door.
But you're like,
I have
I'm
a
still
plan.
gonna drum
I
like
have
a
a plan.
badass. Yeah.
I've got a plan. I've got a contingency. I'll come up with something.
Yeah.
But there was a gig that we played where it didn't go. There wasn't as much preparation as we hoped for, and we kind of bombed.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me that like I'm a little shell shocked now. It's like when I get up on stage or even like doing this, it's just failure is real. It's even in the
You can
things.
talk about that. You remember when
Even
we
the things
first
that
started
you are
this?
good at, like
Yeah.
you can achieve failure, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it kind of breaks you a little bit.
it's
not breaks. But,
I think there's nothing more beneficial to your character than to suck at something, fail at something, admit that you failed, and then swallow that pride and go and do it again, and work it out, like figure it out.
That's
And
like
it's-
a necessary. I think it's a necessary step to getting good at something.
It is. No,
you have to achieve that moment of like realization.
I don't think you can ever get good at anything, and we can even call on God over here too. Like for art, you have to be bad at it. I've heard that many times. You know, like
You can
just
have,
You
to
don't
sit there.
start being good at it.
Yeah, you don't start good. You just have to sit there and draw shit. And there was a what was it?
I spent my whole childhood thinking I was terrible at drawing, but I just thought it was fun.
Yeah,
Kept
and that's kind of the idea. Is there was a story that I saw where the guy's like, what the worst part about being an artist, and this is his description. Maybe Rob can attest how it worked for him, but it's he was explaining how when you're learning to draw, you have to get over this curve, and the curve is you draw something and you're good. You have taste. You know what's good and what's bad, and you look at what you just drew and you're like, it's not good. And then you have to do it again, and you're like, it's better, but it's still not good. And you do it's years. It's not like you just do this over the course of a night.
That good.
Yeah, and then it's building the confidence and building your skills to the point where you can finally look at what you did and go, yes, that's actually good. Because you're, of course, going to be critical to your own work. And so finally accepting and also achieving that level where you're, you know, it doesn't just happen.
For me, that was like really strong with tuning the drums.
Right.
Because I was like, every time I was like playing, I would play my drums and I'd be like tuning them and be like even trying to get the layout right, and they would always just sound bad. One of my main problems was my expectations were high.
Right.
I was comparing them to mastered tracks that had effects on them that were recorded in studios with isolated mics.
Right.
And so one of the first lessons I had to
mix
learn,
to that, yeah.
I had to learn what reverb was and like echo and all that, and just I had to realize what was possible with a drum set in a room with nothing treating it. But what helped me finally get that click moment was learning, you know, like what to expect out of a room, and learning how to actually tune the damn things, and learning what kind of sounds were appropriate for certain settings. So we got to wrap up now.
No, I was actually trying to be sly about it, but
okay.
yeah.
But well, okay. Before we do, I want to ask you, Joe. So is that mindset? Is that what you want to assign to your greatest skill? Because I have, in my opinion, what your most valuable skill is. So
okay,
first, I want to actually, because
I would honestly see that is because that's the skill that I definitely acquired, and I recall. To be brief, there was a point, because goddamn, dude, I don't know about you. I mean, most people, everybody goes through their point in like high school when they're young. They're self-conscious, they're not confident, everything. There was a certain point where I literally kind of sat down with myself, and I was just like, this doesn't do you any good. There's no point to being self-conscious to the point where you don't grow and try things. And because I laid it out like an equation, it was logical. I'm just like, if you don't try things, you won't achieve things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm scared. I'm like, doesn't matter, because if you let that hold you back, and it was simple math. Yeah. That's all I kept breaking it down to. I'm like, logically, this is what you need to do. You need to fake it till you make it, or do whatever.
Yeah, that was the sequence of events.
That
made sense.
And so that would be
so you stuck to it.
That's what I can. Yeah, and that's what I would consider my most valuable acquired skill, is the idea of just going for things and trying them no matter what.
But what happens when things didn't even go the way that you expected them to go, and so you went for it?
That's the best.
Because that leads into what, in my opinion,
we can talk about that.
In my opinion, this is
but go ahead,
this is your most valuable skill, is your ability to adapt. and to kind of roll with the punches.
Adapt and overcome.
Well, because what you do is your entire thing. I was going to say your best ability is to find opportunity, but I realized that really what that is just being able to adapt. It's you go for something. It's difficult. There are challenges that arise, as would arise with anything that we're unsure about. You know, challenges often do arise. Your skill is being able to endure those challenges to the point of being able to see them from a different angle and tackle them, and like you troubleshoot well, and it's the reason why you're an engineer in charge in EIC with Brian. But
this is all flattering.
No,
stuff.
I know it's like weird to like take, but no, it's like it's good to know your skills. But I think here's the thing: is it's the reason why I've observed that is because I feel like one of my weaknesses is that I actually do get overwhelmed in the moment, and I find that like when challenges arise, my gut instinct is just like to pull back, to retreat to like a safe position, and then reassess. But you don't do that. You stay in the fight, and you like find the weakness in the enemy, and you flank them from that point.
Just keep going, yeah.
And so what that's led me to be more of just like a planning person. I'm more like I just like think of things in advance.
Which is kind of where I was going to go with this, because it's kind of a nice clean way to close it all up. Is that's what I found, is that not everybody is the same, right? People are cut from different grain, and that's why you build teams of people to really achieve great things. And
different classes.
Yeah, classes, if you will.
Weaknesses to be covered.
But that's where, like, for example, when you and I do stuff together, we work complementary, because you have damn near all the skills that I don't have, because I do that fast thinking in the moment, but I don't have the retained knowledge. I don't have the slow focus that you do. And that's where I recall on you a lot for like, hey, I don't know this particular detail, or I don't know this concept, because there's entire broad chunks of my brain that I just simply use Sherlock's theory of mental furniture, where if I don't use it on a daily basis, chuck it.
Well, yeah.
But that's where you don't do that. You do the exact opposite, where you look at everything from a large picture, and you have this ability to you have this ability to tell, almost predict what things can be. And assess how things will go from all that. And so that fucking complimentary shit. Your drink's all empty.
I did drink myself empty. That's one of my talents. I saw it coming that we were coming to an end, so I wanted to get all wrapped up. But still, hey, so talents should complement each other, and that's why teamwork's important.
Yep.
And I'm glad you're my brother, Joe.
Hey, I think we've been drinking a lot. Is what's going on.
Yep.
Till next time, buddy. Let's do it.
Till next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, good comeback, guys.